as the ships are filled to the brim with cargo right now as they import and majority export those fishy goodnesses. Guys, welcome back to another episode of FishTown here in City Skylines 2, where could this be the last episode, or will this just be another episode? As we have a big problem. Guys, we are down to our last 90,000 big ones in the bank right now. Last episode, we tried to increase the production of non-fish products by turning those fish that we seem to have a huge excess of into different types, and it's tier 2 version, which become food and convenience food. Boys, we've upped the numbers. We've pretty much let in a load of new people, we've increased the taxes, we've reduced the expenses, and still we are losing money. So this is the episode. If we don't turn a profit, FishTown could cease to exist, the economy could go bankrupt, and the citizens will be left to fend for themselves. Guys, this is the make or break episode right now. So before we get into it, before we find out what we've got to do to turn a profit, then make sure you smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new around here so you get notified when if more episodes do come out. So the problem is, and it's the problem we were always going to have, it's just come a lot quicker than I was expecting. We are an isolated island, so we have to rely on ships to either bring people in and out and also bring goods in and out. Now, in a normal real world, you would have a road connection to the outside region, which means people and goods can come in easy. The fact that we don't have that, we have to pay for ships, which has meant ships and public transport becomes a huge part of our expenses, thus making us pay more money than the normal save game city that you would normally do in City Skylines 2. That's part of the challenge of having an isolated island. Now, we are currently losing on total 3,000 big ones an hour, 74,000 big ones on a month. So I've basically got just over a month remaining in the game to turn a profit. Now, we've already done a bunch of stuff already. We've added more people in, more infrastructure, more buildings, more zoning. And what that has done for us is increase the amount of tax revenue that we're able to gain. Absolutely magical. Now, one of the biggest issues we've also got is we kind of need to also reduce the amount of expenses we've got going. Now, because we need to export goods, we need the harbour. I have chose to build a pretty big harbour, by the way. And we do have a lot of fish. Now, the problem with this is it's not as simple and as easy as just exporting more fish, because if I select our boats, I need a ship that's kind of going out right now with some cargo goods on. Are you just going out right now? I'm not. No, you're not a part of mine. Where is the boats that are exporting right now? I know this boat here is just landed. Oh, there's 2 boats here that have just landed recently. And we're hoping they're going to fill up. Now, I've only seen a ship at most carry 60 tons of fish. I think there's like a limit for individual kind of goods, and not like it can't carry 250 tons of just fish. There's like a limit so it can carry multiple types of cargo. We're not able to export as much as we like. Now, I can add more ships, but that adds to the cost of expenses. And because our ships aren't full with other goods, it's kind of a little bit worthless at the minute. It really, really is, until we've got the economy set up a bit further. So we need to find out ways in which we can reduce these expenses while increasing. Now, I can add more to the taxation, which I am not a huge fan of doing it. It just makes all of my citizens mad, angry, sad, and quite frankly, it doesn't promote growth. Now, I'm going to leave the taxation rises to the very end. That's like my last resort if needs be. Let's first see where we can reduce our expenses. So, we're going to take a look then at what we're paying out. So we currently got 576 coming in, 617 going out. So service-wise, everything that I can reduce that makes sense, we can reduce. Now, reducing the electricity is actually making a surplus right now, which is amazing. The water, let's just see how much water we've got coming and going. We do have a lot of water availability and sewage availability as well, so I feel like we could actually reduce that water bill. But at the same time, what am I reducing it by? I'm going to reduce I'm currently spending 40 grand. If I brought this down to minus, I'd say 50% budget, I've taken off 19 grand a month. Actually, that's actually pretty decent. But people are now complaining, so I think 50% is not right. If I go 70%, is that enough? So 70% was the magic number right there. I've managed to take off 9 grand. I know. Not huge issues, and I don't think the sewage and water are the biggest spenders. It's public transport, but we're going to see what we can do first. Healthcare is at 50%, garbage is at 50%, education is at 50%, fire is at 50%, policing is at 50%, transportation is at 50%, and parks are at 50% as well. And yeah, so my next question is, if everything is reduced as much as we can, then obviously we have too much stuff. So let's take a look at transportation then. Transportation is our biggest problem at the moment. We seem to have too much of it. Now, last episode, we did get rid of the taxi place. We have the bus depot down there. We need buses, so I'm not going to get rid of those at the minute. But our harbour is probably a little bit too big. Now, we probably have too much storage than we require. I can store up to 40 kilotons right now. We're only really pushing 7. So these additional little bits and bobs here, right, these are costing me a bit too much money. So the container yards, if I turn them off, each one of them, that will reduce the amount of storage that I'm able to have here. I'm going to turn 3 of them off and leave 1 on. That only gives me then 10 kilotons of storage. Now, what does that do for me when it comes to then my expenses? It brings us down to then minus 27,000. So that's within region where I could maybe increase the taxes and make a bit extra dollar bills. Or we could maybe now try and squeeze in some more zoning as a way to kind of get more taxation money. So we don't really have much commercial demand, but we do have some residential demand. Now, we do need to keep adding residents. Currently, we have a lot of jobs available and not so many residents available right now. And it's all low-density residential demand at the same time. So let's see where we can kind of squeeze some in. So there's a nice little strip there. I could add in some low-density residential. And I want to see how far we can ultimately push it. Get all you in as well. And that makes a bit of sense. Now, I don't know whether to do some like beachfront properties actually on the beach. I'm not too sure if that's a good idea or not. I'm not too sure. We do have a little space around here. I don't know whether to kind of like build a couple of little sticky out cul-de-sacs or we kind of create a nice little park area. I don't want to squeeze in stuff for the sake of squeezing stuff in, if that makes complete sense. So, a few additional revenue spots that will kind of help us out. Now, our fisheries have got garbage issues. Because we reduced our garbage budget, it means the vehicles don't go out as often as you would expect them to. So I need to squeeze it and improve it a little bit more. So we'll fast forward and get those new residential buildings in. Now, the taxation we're going to get from those minute buildings I've just added in is not going to claw back the huge deficit we're currently experiencing right now. No sirree. So I'm just waiting for them to actually now get built. There is a few just over here now, almost getting done. Actually, going to take a little bit longer than I expect. But there's moments where the revenue is good. There's moments where the revenue is also pretty bad. So it's a tricky one. We've, if anything, made the monthly balance worse. Now, that's why I don't like increasing the taxation too much, because I feel like it just never goes in our favor. Also, taxation hinders us as well, because if I reduce the taxes, it's more likely then to increase the demand of the other stuff. You know what I mean? It is more likely to do that. Right, some houses are now getting in, which will provide new residents, but we're also losing people at the same time. So it's kind of like counterintuitive in many ways, isn't it? Now, I wonder if I'm able to do the mixed zoning. Now, the reason I say the mixed zoning is because I know it's a different style. I don't know whether it's kind of treated as being like low density residential. I'm gonna get rid of this strip here. Okay, this will be an interesting test right now. We could do for some mixed zoning to try and spend both of them at the same time. Now that doesn't want to get spent. That doesn't want to get spent. Is that the only variation of mixed zoning we've currently got? I believe it is. So is mixed housing part of like medium? I'm going to assume it is part of medium. I don't think there's any differential between the zoning. It's just all the same. Right, fair enough. Fair enough. And I don't think there's any, like, larger variations. If I went for you, no. It's all going to be low density, so I'm going to have to squeeze all that back in and get that rocking in. Right. Bit of a pain, right? Bit of a pain. Now, we can take a look at stuff where we are spending money. So, for example, do we have too many shipping routes? You could argue yes, you could argue no. That ship's going out right now with no cargo on board. Are they even exporting my fish at this point? Right, these two are leaving. Wait, none of them are exporting my fish. Tis going on here. What is going on here right now? So we can reduce more of it by not having as many of these shipping routes coming in. Or at least I could change where the shipping routes go. So, if I was to get my cargo line here and move you to that one and move you to that one, I could then turn off each one of these, thus saving a few more pennies. So I've saved 30 grand a month just by turning both of those off. Now, how much is that going to reduce our balance by? I mean, it's reducing it, but our revenues are also coming down at the same time. That's never a good thing, is it? That really is never a good thing. Now, do you think we need some commercial within the industrial areas? I feel like some commercial might not be such a bad idea over here. But it's not high density commercial, it's like low density. We got some waterfront businesses. Actually, this could be exactly what we require. Like if I put some waterfront businesses just here, is that enough to squeeze two in? So if I do like a nice little strip just there. Ooh, actually, this could be the right thing to do. Right, so I'm going to do a nice little promenade of businesses. So I do a gap there where we could potentially squeeze in a little bit of a walkway. Now we've got beachfront commercial stores. Actually, this could be the way. So we've got to like tread really light here. We really do need to tread light. Because one wrong move could just make us lose so much cash. And we are trying to bring it down, but those taxations aren't looking favorable right now. They are not looking favorable. But I do have a large residential demand, so... Bit of a pain. Bit of a pain right now. So, we'll give some southwest housing style, and then we'll kind of try and see if we can get in some larger houses there. Couple just here. Couple just there. And just keep trying to spend that little bit of demand. Right, more commercial buildings are coming in. Some of the commercial buildings are losing money. And that's got to be down to the fact that there's just not enough people on the island to be able to sufficiently keep businesses afloat. Now, monthly balance is still reducing. It's still getting there right now, but we still got to push it forward. So is it a case of maybe looking at, for example, the bus routes and playing around with some of these? So the bus route itself, how do I view the bus line? There we go. The bus line itself, we could charge a little bit more. We don't have enough budget to get the 5 vehicles on, but I can increase the ticket price to maybe $10 to see if we can kind of encourage a few more or a little bit more cash being spent. So transportation, 768 big ones to 28 big ones? That's not true. That can't be true right there, can it? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Right, anyway. Anyway, boys. We've got a few commercial buildings in, but we're still desperate for residential. So we are going to throw in some more residential now. So we're going to get it wherever we can kind of implement it. And I don't think I'm going to worry too much about the placements of it, because we are pretty desperate for it. There we go. Don't worry too much. That's going to spend a lot of the commercial demand, residential demand at this point. And I think there is a few little spots here for some waterfront properties. And some slightly larger than normal buildings. Does go a long way. And then doing the same here as well. There we go. Before it all becomes commercialized again. So a few nice little beachfront properties. It's where the rich people are going to live. If you can even class them as being rich people at this point, I'm not quite sure if you can. Not quite sure if you can. So money's coming down still. Again, I'm leaving the taxation to the very last minute. Leaving it to the very last minute, because that is going to be another big issue for us. So could you argue that we have one too many cargo routes coming in? You could argue that. You 100% could argue that. And it is a slight issue. So to increase everything else, we've got to reduce the taxes. That is our biggest problem. So I'm actually going to try and attempt something here. I'm going to see if I can attempt to benefit from reducing taxation first. So you can see how much we're ultimately making. Right, so let's just call it, right, our base on taxes, 442,000. So I'm going to reduce the commercial, or do I do industry? No, we'll reduce the residential, no. We'll reduce the residential taxation to 11%, and we'll reduce the convenience food taxation down and the food taxation down. Let's just reduce those first. Now, that's going to really hurt us. Like, we're losing a lot of money right now. Like, huge amounts of money. But we're starting to creep up with a little bit more commercial. So we're going to kind of squeeze in. And I'm going to space these out particularly, because I feel like we could heavily benefit with a little bit of commercial being thrown down, doing some little walkable areas. That will really kind of bode well for us. I think that will really bode well for us. Now, we are again losing money, but I'm trying to artificially increase. Now, we've got a lot of boats coming in on this boat line here. I'm actually going to change this to $10, but then reduce it down to 2 boats at a time. So less boats, I'm hoping then means less money we're spending on the line, because the boats coming in are big anyway. So that kind of works out. But I don't think that's going to push us in the right direction just yet. Now, how do I increase the industrial demand? So reducing the taxation is one thing. It's just not going to work, is it? I don't want to say it, but we might have to get ourselves a little bit of a loan. So if I was to borrow, for example, $500,000. Actually, if I was to borrow $1 million, it will add an extra 26 big ones a month on us. Now, can I use that $1 million to reduce the taxes for now to grow the demand? Ooh, do you know what? We're going to have to risk it. Again, raising taxes is going to be my last option. I'm going to borrow $1 million. That could have been the wrong thing to do. Right, so taxation. We're going to bring it down to 8%. Commercial down to 8%. We're going to bring industry down to 8% on the stuff that I want to produce. So remember, I'm only taxing the products that we don't want to produce because we are the fishing industry. And then we'll bring all these down to 8%. So that $1 million that we've just got is going to hopefully, right, support the amount of money that we're losing by reducing taxes. We're going to change, again, a few of our other budgets. So the policing, we're going to increase back to 100%. And then garbage, we're going to increase to, let's go to 70%. Because some of these services we actually need to fund to improve the situation on the island. So this might be exactly what we need. We've got to reduce that crime, which is really hurting us. So where is the police station? So the police station's there. We're going to have a few more vehicles now going out and hopefully arresting a few more criminals. Fingers crossed. We're going to be pumping out an extra couple of trucks to go pick up the garbage. So we're going to artificially support... Oh, we're getting some office demand now coming in. That's exciting. So much, in fact, we're now going to fill the rest of this with the office demand. There we go. So you've got to stimulate the growth of the city, don't you? You got to stimulate it ever so slightly. So is that now reducing? The crime risk has gone down from -12 to -10. Everyone's a little bit wealthy at this point. So that's a good sign. But we are losing $250,000 a month. So at this rate, I've got 4 months to now make a profit. So we kind of need to start planning out where our next little town is going to be. That's going to be the next big thing, right? Is planning that out. And I think using this peninsula is a good one. I think it will be a good case of doing another low density town. And we might save like the bigger areas over here for like the higher density towns. So with that being the road that it is, we are going to change that. Now, do I take a leaf out of this book? It's not going to be as big as this, so I think we'll just keep it to its normal kind of road to begin with. And I think what we'll do is we'll upgrade it to a 4-lane road to begin with. So upgrade it just to there. And then it narrows in. We obviously want bikes on this, so we'll upgrade the whole thing to bikes. And then that's got to be like a normal road, by the way. So normal, and then upgrade all the way to bikes. Right. Pretty good. Pretty good. So we're then going to build off this and see if we can get like a nice smaller little town on the go that would support a few more residents. So I'm going to pick a random point. I'm going to pick this point here to come off by a 112. And over here by a 112. Okay, that's actually going to work out really well. And then we'll go across by a 184. A lot of this doesn't feel like it's like situated right. Right, there we go. And then we're going to have to start bending some of this. We are going to have to start bending some of it. So if I went like this down the middle here. And let's just say I did a little cut there just to delete this back. And then we incorporate our beautiful bend. So a 104 by a 104. And then run you all the way down. Right, not bad, not bad, not bad. And then we're going to bring you down. So how far are we going to take all these, by the way, for our little grid format? Let's just see what we can do first. Alright, we'll go to there. And the office demand is actually creeping back up again, which is nice to see, because that's extra money. Let me put... No, actually, we're going to keep it going. We're going to do our little connections as well. So I reckon I'm going to break up this little section. So if I went from there to there, that breaks up that little section. So what's the distance between those? It's a 168. So it becomes on this run. We're just slightly breaking it all up. And then I'm going to do some continuous roads now from here. So I bring you to there, and then we'll bend it going in. And then I'm going to turn it as a connection. And I think I do the same here. And then to there, like that. To end that, to where it just runs up, and then we'll spike it all out with like different roads. I've just realised though, I've done all that one type of road, where I've been doing all the other ones with the alley style roads. You know, like over here, to kind of create that tight-knit town kind of vibe. And I think I want that on all of this as well. So we'll upgrade these to be this style of road. And then we've then got to figure out whether we want it to be dirt roads or what. How did I forget about this? So I might keep them to that type of road and then do dirt roads around. I like the idea of the dirt road. It really adds on to it. And we'll create like little then nooks and crannies, which allow me then to run here, there, and everywhere. So I'm just creating awkward runs. Is what I'm doing. But mainly it allows me to run out. Create these little connections. And then that's where I can then do path to kind of get us to where I need it to go to. So go to there. And to there. And then we'll do a quick little run over here as well. And then we're going to do an artificial connection here. And you know what we might do? A bit of a bend there. Like that. Right, let me just finish off this little strip then. So running that down, these are like roads running then down to the beach. Like that. And then just quickly do a little one just here. So leave it like that then. That's a good little setup there for a small town. Now what I'm going to require from everyone watching right now is an actual name for this little town. I think it will be a good one. So let's start with some commercial. And we'll just do normal density building. So squeeze in a couple little commercial spots just there. So it becomes like the main shopping district of this area. And then we'll just go a little bit OTT then with the residential. And then once you start getting the demand for higher density, that's when we'll then replace them with that. if that makes sense. So go around on the inner side first of all of this. We'll do a lot of this here. And some of it, I want it to then kind of be the beachfront properties. So let's just go to there. Let's just go to here. We'll go to there. And then we'll drop in all the little beachfront property stuff. So that is there. A lot of demand being thrown in. I think I might have gone a little bit too far with some of this zoning. And then throw it in down here. Let me just get rid of a chunk of it there. To there, to there, to there. Now this will put a lot more pressure on my services, of course. But it's adding now more residential, which should then grow more demand and keep us going. Now, the problem is we now need to add in a bunch of stuff to support this little area, which is going to require like bus stops. It's going to require bike stands and all that. Now, I don't think I'm going to extend the bus service just yet, but I will include a couple of bike stand stuff just to make it feel a bit right. I always forget, where do we go for the bike stand stuff? It's in car parks, isn't it? This is where it's classed as. So we'll do the bike shelters. We'll do the bike shelters. And because that'll be then kind of hooked up to being our bus stops as well, right? Is that right? Or should I just do it as these anyway? I think I'm just going to do it as these anyway. Because it's where my bus stops are then going to go. Have I just Annie-keyed it over the top of the other one? Right, there we go. Because they'll park their bikes there anyway. And it sets me up to where my bus stops will eventually be. But I will throw in some bike parking at the same time as well. It would be wrong for me not to do that. So I'll drop in... Now, these are really small, so you can get them in areas that don't really affect things, if obviously there is some space available. Trying to see what will be a good little fit. One there, maybe. And do the same over here. So a couple of little bike spots just there. Just dotted them in very vaguely, as I now wait for everyone to slightly move in now. I spy with my little eye a little bit of industrial demand creeping in. Interesting. So with that trying to creep in, we're going to drop in a nice little zoned area there. There we go. Factory straight away to spend that minuscule amount of demand. So that's good. We are getting people slowly arriving. And I've still got a load of money I've got to sort out. So obviously taxation has dropped dramatically. I can reduce my expenses again. We know we can because we can change some of the stuff. I'm just artificially trying to increase things before we then go ahead and decrease things all again. So I just want to get money makers. I want to get more people on the island first and foremost. That's what it's all about. Because we're not exporting as much as we once was. The harbours are pretty much drying up. So there's a passenger boat right now bringing 45 people in. So it's slowly happening. It's a long-winded process, but it is slowly happening. Very slow. Very slow, guys. Very slow right now. And you can tell that by how long it's taken us to actually grow the town. Wild, right? Wild. Now, we are getting a bit more office demand in. But, yeah, we've kind of allocated all of our offices. I don't want to do too much. How much taxation are we getting from offices? We are getting 17,000 big ones. It's not really a lot, is it? It's not really a lot. But, yeah. We're getting there. So we've sorted out, anyway, all of the crime issues, which is now growing. So the thing is now, because I've got all the zoning down, we don't see this, but every time a little bit of demand creeps up, it gets instant spent on the buildings that you can see now slowly growing. It's an instant spend happening straight away. Now, while we do wait, is there any benefit I can do here for like creating these little walkways? So we kind of want to take a look at the pier path, really, isn't it? And create like the promenade. So if I was to kind of go across here, I'm creating like a promenade walk, but it's not really a promenade, is it? Not as you would expect it to be. It's not really what you would expect it to be. Now, that in itself is pretty expensive just to build. It is pretty expensive versus, is the path's free, right? The path doesn't cost us anything. Oh no, the path actually does cost us as well. So I can bring paths down. And just create a couple little spots here. Maybe we can see some people walking about eventually. And lead them to over here. So if I brought that there, could I just do a simplistic bend like this? And would it make sense for me just to play around with no snapping? Just wiggle it like this. And then we can plant down some palm trees and stuff like that, which would look pretty glorious. Look at that. We got these beautiful little walkways right now. Now, we'll only start there because it's kind of like a little bit of an experiment. But then you find the palm trees. So, I got to figure out what's the best variant of palm tree. Want an adult version? Oh, there's actually quite a nice few variations we could use. People are actually already walking on my promenade. I suppose you could do a couple of different variations of these. What a beautiful beach. Look at this. It's paradise, boys. But that's something that we should do, isn't it? Yeah, we should make all the beaches like that. Dropping some commercial around them. It would feel pretty nice. So, still trying to get all the zoning in. Here, there, and everywhere. There's not really much we can kind of do about that. And are my ships leaving with goods on board? Wait, do you think, because I reduced my services budget, that if I bring it up to about 70%, is that stopping me from actually exporting goods? What do we think about that? Do you reckon that's a thing? Because I'm seeing no ships right now. Let's see this ship. I'm seeing no ships actually pick up the goods. I wonder if it's because it's like a budget issue. Because we're storing goods. You know what I mean? We are storing the goods, not really bringing any goods in. So what's the point of the ships? I also feel like we might have too many routes at this point. So what if I just got the shipping routes here, and I got rid of 2 of them. Got rid of 2 of them. Okay. Okay, you're bringing in some grain. No one's really exporting anything right now. How much am I losing on my budget? So what if I put my transportation budget back up to 100%? That does mean we are going to be losing a lot of money. But I'm wondering if that will kind of artificially increase my revenue as we now all of a sudden be able to export correctly. I'm not too sure. Right, a bit of industrial demand is creeping back in. So, we could take a look now at just extending these areas around. So that would go there. And then I want to bring that out. I don't think that's worked correctly. Let me delete you. What if I went... See, that's ran straight. Like that. So, or weirdly, we've got our... I don't know if it's a good idea to have the straight line. Or whether there should be some type of a bend halfway through it. Let's say I'm willing to go that far. And that came out this far. Kind of works, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But for now, I don't mind. I just want to get in this beautiful bit of industrial demand that has seemed to feel like it's come out of nowhere. Right, keep making me taxation money. Right, like the idea of this, by the way. Really do like it, and we'll kind of continue it around all the beaches. So you could walk the full length of this beach in a big semicircle. That would be nice. I don't know if they can actually bike it on this. Can they bike it? Also, is that bit even connected? I think it is. Okay, now I've got an error. Right, guys, do not move stuff, okay? Do not move stuff. Right, I've reloaded the game just in case there was a big issue right there with moving stuff. But again, don't move stuff, guys. Don't you dare move things. I'm not sure if that's fully connected. Oh, it is. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Right. So we're up to 3,000 residents right now. New industry is being built. And are we now officially exporting? I gotta wait for these ships to go. There's still no cargo on board of this one. What seems to be the issue with exporting? I don't know if they're part of the older ship. Who are you? Oh, wait, get back here. Oh, I think you're just passing by. You're just a ship that's passing by, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's pretty much who you are. So, money being lost right now, super high. So, how much longer do I now give it before we commit to then raising the taxes? How much longer do we give it? So unoccupied buildings is the biggest problem with raising the density demand. There's not enough demand for the taxes, but they really do want offices, don't they? Now, I could squeeze in a few more offices. It's not a problem. We can create like a nice little sticky out bit here. That maybe goes up. So let's say, what is the length of that? That was like a... Actually quite a distance that is. A 256. That's like this here. And then bring it up to here. So you get the perfect grid just there. And then just fill it with offices. We'll go southwest offices. And that'll be slightly larger. And now I've got no demand. See, that is the biggest problem right now, boys. The biggest problem we are facing right now. The biggest problem we are facing right now. Nil demand. Nil demand. But we get in there, though. They're slowly coming in these buildings. Bit of industry demand is squeezing in. Which, to be honest with you, the taxation is, on the income, sorry, is almost as close as it was when the taxes were higher. So that's kind of a good news for me. Right. Keep pushing, boys. We've got to keep on pushing right now. So, unreliable mail service. I don't want to add anything in just yet. There's fair taxes they're happy with. Do we maybe look towards doing the old trick of getting rid of our power and water? It could be a way to kind of get rid of the excess. is to kind of export it. Because in these challenging times, we are struggling. So let's run it to here. And then run it directly out of the region. Right, why can't I get you to go out of the region? There we go. So we're now exporting the excess water we have available. And I think we need to now increase our electricity budget. So I'm going to put my electricity budget right now back to normal. There we go. So electricity budget is back to normal. We're now going to be exporting the excess water that we have. So if I put this back to 100%, we'll now export a little bit more. Won't be much more. I don't think it outweighs the money. But if I can export the excess power as well, has that not solved the power issue? Oh, this is looking like it is. Oh, the battery's depleted. Right, let's get a secondary wind turbine in. So that's a small one versus the large one we've got. So we'll put this one just here. And then we'll connect you down to there. Now, this doesn't have the full shebang the other one has on, I don't think. Did we upgrade this one? We did. But it just gives us a couple of extra megawatts anyway. Very good, very good. Now, can we export the excess power? Or does this need to be done on power lines? Yeah, it needs to be done on power lines. So let me just bring this down. Now, this in itself is expensive. So, I need to get to the industrial... I mean, how much is in a transformer station? Do you reckon we'll make more than 6,000 from a transformer station? Sorry, more than 3,000 a month? Let me incorporate one in. So, if I was to put it, for example, here, and then run this... I mean, you're not going to see these wires. So it's okay. And what's the issue here now? There's an issue with this building. That means you're now going to export the excess electricity that we're producing. Which service trade is looking pretty good already. So electricity, exporting. Okay, so we're exporting $3,000, which was more than the monthly cost of the transformer station. So that's good news. That's good news for us. So we're now exporting the excess that we don't need. I don't know whether exporting it is better than reducing the budget. I'm still not 100% sold on all of that. Still not 100% sold on all of that just yet. Right. The office area has somewhat since now expanded. Which is great to see. But they want more offices. Now, what's the taxation on the offices looking like these days? It is 23,000 big ones. It's the lowest out of everything that we've got, but it is the least amount that we've got out of anything else. We've pretty much covered all of the residential demand at this minute. So now it's just a case of waiting for the buildings to become fully occupied, and then you'll start to get the density of the higher residential starting to increase. Right, this ship here is bringing in 22 people. So we're up to 3,100 people currently living here. Right, we've still got a little bit of money to play with before we do anything too crazy. There's a ship there leaving. No goods on board. No goods on board. What is the problem right now with exporting fish? This is actually a lot more difficult than I was expecting it to be. It really is. So, even if I had all the money in the world right now, we've got no demand. That's the biggest problemo. We've got no demand. Nothing is allowing us to grow. Now, there's no mail service. Now, how much would a small post office cost us? I want to just kind of slowly get in services that would help us out. So if I just dropped you there, and then small little mailboxes dotted around. Now, the mailboxes don't cost us anything. So I might go a little bit overloaded with these. And we'll throw one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. And then do we need a mailbox over here? I'm not too sure if we do, but I'll drop one just there. It's to kind of make them a bit happier, give them what they are requiring, and it might make it a better place to come to. So I am adding stuff that is obviously going to cause more money depleting from my bank account. But it's for the greater good, okay? It's for the greater good. So you'll have ships now importing and exporting mail. That's one thing we're now going to see. But I think the tide is turning shortly before I will start needing to increase the taxes. Now, we are going to drop the budget down to 70% for the transport. I don't know how much that's going to affect my tax revenue. I really do not know. We're going to create a little bit of an extension up here. So 112. Going down to 112. Now I could throw in some more offices because of that demand is creeping up again. Why can we not get this in? Oh, there we go. So a few more offices being squeezed in there. It's the only really demand that we've got. Unemployment. We've got 1,000 more jobs than people. Like, how do I entice more people to now arrive? You know what I mean? How can I get more people to arrive than what is currently going on? I think there's only one way. I honestly think there is only one way to do this. Do you want to see my method? And if it's going to work? I've left it to the very end. I've left it to the very end right now. I'm going to create over in this corner, right, a little bit of land reclamation. So pause the game right now, this whole thing. Now, we had to do something similar to this in the Oil Town series. So if I just create a nice little rectangular area, okay, and press play, no water, we're all good. And then what we do is we create a road that connects to the edge, bring this down, and then I'm just going to do a left and right. And I'm going to place on this a breakwater ferry. Now, I'll explain, if you didn't see my Oil Town series, I'll explain what this means. So place you down just there. So what this means is, the struggle that we're having is we can't get people to the island quick enough to raise any of my demands and all that sweet, sweet jazz. So instead, what we do is we artificially create a way for them to get over here. And that artificial way is just simply to allow them to enter the region via vehicle or walking. And believe it or not, this actually does work quite well. So if I get them to arrive, where are we? Just over here. And then run it back. You will notice a kind of a great difference that you would normally see. So all the way to there. Very good, very good. Now, do we have any areas where we're not running cargo ships first and foremost? Yes. I am going to delete the excess bit of shipway because in theory we are paying for this. We are paying for this excess shipping route monthly. So I'm going to get rid of it all. There we go. So back into play mode then. This is the slight little workaround that we kind of technically have to do right now for the game to work. So what you'll see now is our demands might go a little bit crazier. As you see, our residential is now rapidly increasing. Now, granted, they don't have what's required to be sufficient. We've got to give it power and all that for it to actually work. So let me just run this just to here. And then I've got to do the same with the water and sewage. I want to try and run this stuff so it's like just completely out of the way. Right, okay, there we go. That gives them the power, that gives them the sewage, that gives them everything that's required right there. It's now a case of playing the waiting game. So all of a sudden, I've got a huge spike in residential. A huge spike right now. So now I just got to wait for the ships to make their way over there. That's the long-winded bit of all of this. That is the long-winded bit of all of this right now. So everyone's leveling up. Getting lots of beautiful demand right now from the low-density residential. It's really, really skyrocketed. So it's a case of waiting for this to take effect. Now, some roads are better than others. So it might be a case of I need to do the highway road. So it could be the 4-lane highway system road that we might need to do as the connection. It's a tricky one. There we go. It's the highway road that needed the connection. Now, why is the power not working? There we go. So that now will bring everybody in. So they're still getting here on a boat, but the problem is it's getting them into the region, which is the big issue. So if all of a sudden they can arrive here, get on a boat and then sail in, perfect. Now that in itself should give me a lot more people and get them onto the island a lot faster. So where is the first boat coming from? So here's the first boat right now. Now, unfortunately, these are the smaller variants of boats. But I think having the smaller variants is still probably the cheaper option. So this boat is now on the way in. So give it a memento. Where is it? Here it is. And it's instantly going to pick up the grand total of 47 people. 82 people. There we go. And the next boat should be just as busy. So that's going to bring people in quicker than what just having them on the edge of the region was doing. And that's my other little trick right there. We had to do this in Oil Town, and it's what really helped us. We're getting a little bit of industrial demand right now. But most importantly, we're getting the people to the island a lot quicker. We're getting the buildings leveling up. And was that a little bit of high-density residential squeezing itself in? I think it might be. I think it might be. So we're going to wait for those ships to make their way over. It will take some time. It will take some time. This one's now just picked up 37, 39 people. There's a big chunk of people walking down right now, waiting for that secondary boat. So this is the only downside, though. It's the constant taxis having to kind of come in and out. But this, we could charge a high ticket price and earn some extra revenue while these people are coming in. And now we've got industrial demand, we've got office demand, we've got high density demand right now squeezing itself in. So it's a case of now, a simple case now of how long until we are starting to see the benefits from the taxation. So I know I can still raise the taxes, but that deficit is heavily dropping down. So this is our 82 passengers on that one ferry, by the way. Another one's bought a load already. And that's just now just dropped off a load of people at the same time as well. So they're all bundled there together. And then off they go. Off they go. High density is super high right now, which is good. But the people are here. They are here to pay the bills. The next ship has arrived. That one's got 72 people on board. It's happening. It is now going to happen. So that little trick here is just enough. So how many people are currently waiting? There is 310 passengers currently waiting right now. So that little trick there is enough to get everybody to the island that little bit quicker. And I think that, among all the other taxation stuff, look at that, we're now down to 98,000. All this little tricks of the trade right now is going to help us. So taxation, we're going to put it back, or we're going to move it to 10%. So let's move it all to 10% now. And those few extra pennies that we're now going to make, we're going to move the fish up to 10%. Means that our budget is at break even. And is that all of a sudden a profit, guys? Is that all of a sudden a profit right there? I think that's a profit, guys. Now, can we maintain that profit? That's a different story. So, FishTown. Did I leave the biggest trick to the very end? Yes. But to be able to implement that little trick at the end, I need to get everything else sorted. Now, we do have a problem with, of course, medical and healthcare. So we're going to bring this up to 70%. Now, we do need to slightly start raising all of our budgets again. But I think we're now realistically running at a profit. So having that little ability over here to bring them in with absolute ease is a must. How many people is this boat now going to pick up is the question. So it's got 20 on board, 140 straight away. Absolutely glorious. Now we're back to losing money again. But for the first time ever, we just add a glimmer of hope, which is more important than anything else. So it's now a case waiting till next episode to see if we truly are profitable. We've got to wait for all these new people to make it to the island. Now, if you still don't understand what was happening there, the fact is, bringing them in and out of the region via ship is slower than allowing them to spawn from the edge via a road, then get them on a ship over here. So the big issue with us losing all this money is the simple fact that we weren't getting people to the island quick enough. But this should now change things, and I think from this moment forward now, this is the episode that turns the series around. I can rest a little bit easier for now, but I know that this is not going to last long. I just know it's not going to last long. So give me some name suggestions for the brand new town in the comment section down below. Will we remain profitable? Remains to be seen. We'll see what the next few episodes are going to bring for us. Until next time, I will see you all soon, so goodbye.